Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's press conference. The Citadel is coming off a 34-21 victory on the road at Western Carolina. We'll begin a stretch of 3 straight home games here this Saturday against Sanford at 2 o'clock. Here to talk about the Bulldogs, head coach Brent Thompson.
Thank you, John. I think what I'm most looking forward to or most thankful for is I don't have to get on a bus this week. Is finally at home, as John said, for 3 straight weeks. It'll be nice. But it was also nice to get a road win, and it was also nice to see our guys perform fairly well. After the game, my thoughts to the team were about what they were yesterday after I watched the film, and that was we played calm, we played relaxed. We played really, really well on defense. I thought Coach Grantham had a really good game plan on defense. Offensively, our biggest concern was going with the third-team quarterback. The other 2 quarterbacks available, but didn't really practice all week long. They had a couple of nagging injuries from the week prior too. So we went with Grayson. Grayson Underwood is a junior for us. He's been around. He was actually our backup quarterback a couple of years ago, had an injury. But came in and did really well, had over 100 yards, threw the ball extremely well, operated the offense well. What I really liked to see was just us get first downs, get positive yards, score in the red zone. We had a couple of penalties, but nothing that was really going to kill us, or we were able to recover from a couple of those penalties and play really solid on defense, which is the formula for success at our place. So looking forward to this week again, of course, being at home, but you're going to see an undefeated, essentially, in FCS Sanford team. They're playing extremely well. This is probably the best team that Hatch has had there in a long time. They play extremely well on defense. He runs the ball a little bit more than he traditionally has, and he's always been able to throw it efficiently. So we probably have to have a very similar game plan, keep the ball in front of us on defense, try to eat as much of the clock up as possible on offense, and don't kill yourself in the special teams, and don't kill yourselves in penalties. So if we can do that, I think we'll make it a ball game out here and give ourselves a chance to win. But moving forward, I would like to see us just continue to improve upon what we did last week and keep on getting better both sides of the ball. Questions?
What was the decision made last week that Grace would be the starter on Saturday?
Well, it wasn't officially made until about Thursday or Friday, and it was really because, Peyton had practiced a little bit on Tuesday, and then Ahmad practiced a little bit on Wednesday. But when you kind of weighed the pros and cons of their particular injuries against what Grayson was going to give us in the game plan. And at that point, the game plan's already kind of got to be set, and you're looking at almost 3 different game plans for each of those guys. So we set the game plan to Grayson for Monday, and then we were going to kind of adjust it and tweak it based upon Ahmad or Peyton being available. And by the end of the week, we thought the way that everything shook out, neither one of them were at 100%. They're probably were right around 75, 80. Maybe Ahmad was around 90% that Grayson gave us the best chance. So we had a couple of things that we just kept in our back pocket for those other 2 guys, and we ran, for the most part, base offense, and Grayson executed it really well. Most likely, it'll still probably depend upon Ahmad's ankle out there, see how it's going. But I think he was available to us last week, so I think Ahmad's probably going to be close to 100% this week. And then Peyton still maybe a little bit further behind, but we're going to, keep repping him as well.
And with the way that he played on Saturday, some fans are kind of wondering why he hadn't been in there the whole time.
Yeah, it's, Grayson, unfortunately, he was our backup at one time in the spring of 2021. And was going to be the next guy to Jalen, and took another injury. He had 2 consecutive injuries, and we didn't really know. He had rehabbed it really well last year, so it's been over a year. So he hasn't taken a live contact hit in close to about 2.5 years, I guess. So we weren't really sure where he was at. But then you also figure he's kind of settled into his role. I thought he learned the offense a lot better over the last 3 weeks. But he came to see me 2 weeks ago, and he wanted to contribute. I said, are you ready to go? I said, I know you've had these 2 injuries. Are you ready to be able to stress that and take some live shots? He said, I'm in the best shape that I've ever been in. I'm ready to go. I said, well, here's the 2 things that you need to do. I'll give you reps with the ones, and this was going before the Wofford week. I'll give you reps with the ones, but you need to show me that you can do X, Y, and Z. And if you can do those things, then, we'll at least consider the thought. And to his credit, he went out there, and I think he settled in. he got certain things under control that he needed to get under control in his game, and really did a pretty good job of just listening and executing and doing what we're asked him to do. So a little bit it was just a little comfortability level with a guy that's played in this league for a while. Ahmad, who was really the starter all spring when Jalen left, and Grayson, who really wasn't available in the spring and didn't know how available he was going to be and how comfortable he felt up until the point where he came to see me in about 2 to 3 weeks ago.
I know you told us last week, you told the team after the Wofford game that the expectation was to still win the last 5 games. Going into Saturday, was much said during the week, or kind of do you think the players took it upon themselves to kind of put the past couple of weeks in the rear view?
No, I reminded them every single day, like, here's the expectations. This is going to speak a lot to your character as to how you battle back and how you come back from a tough Wofford loss right there, and 2 consecutive tough losses to 2 rival teams that we had our opportunities and could have our opportunities to win those games. Backs against the wall, but the one thing I said before we took the game, before we took the field against Western, was just go out there and enjoy playing, relax. I thought we've played up tight the last couple of weeks, and sometimes when you get in those rivalry games, you do that. Play relaxed and let the game come to you. And not every play was perfect out there, both offensively or defensively. They had some pretty good runs on the defense, but we tackled them. We kept them in front of us. Offensively, things broke down. Guys made plays. I mean, Ricky Conway makes 2 or 3 plays that just get first downs for us. Cooper Wallace is another one. He's just making plays to get things out there. We couldn't. The way they were playing, we couldn't get the B-back going too much, so we had to rely on our A-back and our quarterback play. And then we had some good receptions as well. So it was a good team effort. And a lot of it had to do with just us relaxing and playing, and says a lot about our character of coming back from 2 losses like that.
What impressed you the most about what Grayson did?
Took care of the football and ran the offense. That's all we ask him to do. Is he didn't need to do anything spectacular. He hit the open receivers when we had him. He moved forward. He always got yards. He wasn't losing yards on plays, which was kind of nice to have. The thing that impressed me is when he came off the sidelines, is he was engaged enough in the game to know exactly where we needed to go, and he and I could have a conversation about what was going to be the next option for us, or we needed a first down. Here's what we had to do to get a first down. We needed a touchdown. Here's what we had to do to get the touchdown right here. So he was engaged. He knew what the front was doing. For a guy that hasn't played football in 4 years, going all the way back to Dutch Fork, hasn't played a whole lot of football in that time, he was really engaged in the game and knew exactly what was going on out there, which was nice.
Going back to Dutch Fork, I think he played quarterback and some running back.
He did.
He missed his senior year.
Yep.
What did you like about him, even though he did miss that senior year with the knee injury?
Just what you saw on Saturday. He's a square your shoulders downhill runner. He was going to be a lot like Brandon Rainey for us if he didn't work out. Just like Brandon, we were going to play him at B-back as well. He's 225, 230 pounds in there. Like I said, unfortunately, things didn't go his way when he started to get a lot of reps in there and took that injury. So that set him back about a year and a half or so. But for the most part, he's a good downhill, just a different quarterback in our system that we don't necessarily have with those other 3 or 4 guys in the rotation.
Seems like that kind of guy, going back to Aaron Miller and Dominique and mentioned Brandon.
They do well here.
Guy.
Yeah, fits into our offensive system. Those guys, it's funny because you look around in some of the other option schools, and sometimes you sit there and you go, wow, I would really like that guy. I would really like a guy that's like that. Go out and find me this guy in recruiting. And when we always come back to it, we always come back to the Brandon Rainey's, the Grayson Underwoods, the Dom Allen. And Dom was a pretty good hybrid of both. Dom ran really well, but he was always a guy that could square his shoulders. Aaron Miller ran really well, but he could square his shoulders in there. I would always take those guys just because they hold up and they last. That's the hard part in this offense is Grayson had 30-something carries the other day. I mean, you're talking on any given day, those quarterbacks can have between 25 and 30 carries, depending on what the defense is giving you. And they've got to be able to hold up and withstand it. And you don't find quarterbacks like that anymore. Is with all the 7-on-7s, with all the shotgun going on in the high school, you don't find quarterbacks that take too many shots anymore because they're so well protected in the pocket and they get the ball out fairly quickly that a true running quarterback anymore is hard to find, even though you see a lot of these spread offenses. They're even taught to go down and slide and not take hits. But our guys, we need to grind out yards, man. Every yard matters with us. That we actually lost the toss, but if we won the toss, we were taking the ball. I was over that. I'm usually a defer till the half kind of guy, but I thought we needed to set the tone or set a different tone and at least say something to our offense that like this is the expectation of the offense is we need to go down there and at least put 3 points on the board, if not 7 points on the board, and that's what we did. Is either way we were going to take the football, which was nice, but I thought it got us off to the right momentum that we needed, and then the defense steps up, and I think we go down and kick a field goal on the next drive, so we go up 10, which was nice. Especially, you have to build a lead against a team like that, and that's what Furman did the week before. They built a lead, they made it a little bit more difficult, they played a little bit back off of them, and we didn't need to pressure as much on the defensive side and just keep the ball in front of us on the defensive side. And we felt the pressure shift to them when they faked the punt, and we were able to tackle the fake punt. So you knew at that point they knew the possessions were going to be short for them. So we just had to keep on taking advantage, and don't let your foot off the gas was really the message at halftime. We just had to keep on going, play the way that we're going to play all day long. Well, number one is we got to control. So I always try to get the play call in before about 25, 26, somewhere in there, so that way we can snap the thing right around 3 or 4. That's how you chew the clock on our side of the ball. And then, of course, getting first downs, going for it on 4th down, getting positive yards. But you see Sanford now, they do run the football a little bit more. They are up-tempo, but they do run it a little bit more. He's killing a lot more clock than he usually does, and which is saving his defense a little bit. So I think he sees a little bit of that formula as well. But I think they scored 55 last week, so they're high-powered as well. We've got to keep them off the field. They can score at will.
You mentioned Ricky Conway, and I think your new tight end caught a pass.
Yeah.
Trayvon was the leading tackler. Are some of these grad transfers settling in and making some more contributions?
Yeah, Trayvon's done Trayvon should have had an interception in the end zone too. He just dropped it there, but he's played ever since Wilson Hendricks got injured, which was kind of nice to have a guy that's a 5th-year guy, played quite a bit at North Carolina Central, come down and join us and help us out. Ricky's been a contributor all year long. I mean, he's been making those catches. He had a huge catch in the Furman game. You didn't see him too much in the Wofford game, but he came out and had a really nice day on Saturday, so it was good to see. And then Alex Sloan, with the injuries that we've been taking at wide receiver, we took a hybrid tight end H-back from Holy Cross, and he's smart. He understood. He picked up the offense fairly quickly, and when we just ran limited supply of wide receivers, he was the next guy up. So he's done a good job. He's done a good job of filling in, because there's a guy that has to know tight end, down tight end, as well as flex wide receiver. And for him, this will be his 2nd or 3rd offensive system that he's learned in about 4 or 5 years. So it's been good for him to come in here and step in and make a contribution.
I know it's one game at a time. You have 3 straight home games. Is this a chance to change the narrative of the season?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely is. We do have that opportunity to be able to change the narrative here. The beginning part of the season wasn't easy. We had a lot of road games. We had a lot of really good teams there. And then, of course, we lost to Wofford, which doesn't help things out. That was a game that we probably should have gotten. But here we are. We've gotten to the point where we needed to get to. We got here with 2 wins. I would like to have had probably about 3, maybe even 4 if you're possible here to get to this point. But such the way it is. Now we've got an opportunity to get some of these teams at home. It's certainly better than traveling to Birmingham or traveling to Chattanooga, which will be nice. So got an opportunity, to change the way the season's gone. And there's always that saying, and they remember November. Well, depending on what the quarterback situation is, and a lot of it does go on the quarterback as to which direction the offense goes in. But I think as you could see the offense settle into a rhythm, and that was the one thing that I felt we had against Western was a rhythm. If we can continue to have that rhythm, you'll see that throughout the course of the year. And I think that spills over to the defense. I think the defense felt a little bit of pressure on them when offensively we couldn't score enough or we couldn't move the ball or get first downs enough, that they started to relax and a little bit of them started to settle down. So there's a little bit of that going on right now that I think should help us out and should hopefully change us as well.
And then a little bit on Sanford. You mentioned last week Western kind of likes to take the deep shot.
Yeah, so Sanford's they're more of an intermediate spacing route. They've more of a Mike Leach air raid concept. He does a really good job with it. He's a disciple of that. He's done it for a while. He keeps it very simple, knows where he's going with it, and he knows the offensive system extremely well. Not too far off from what we do as far as numbers and fields and angles and those kind of things. So different. They will run the ball and they will put some pressure on the run game more than that they have though. Well, it's a new defensive coordinator, so it'll be a little bit of a different defensive front than we've seen the last 2 years. Different twist on things. So for us, is we've just got to worry about executing our offense and not worry about what they do defensively and just adjust to what whatever they show or whatever the nuance is going to be against us.